Almost 3 years ago in 2021, I released a video that was strongly critical of GTA Online in every aspect. This video has amassed over 1 million views and was broadly well received. However, since then I have played GTA Online for hundreds of hours more, and I even acquired every single award in the game. The game has also changed a lot since back then, so today I'm going to be reviewing my old video to see how much of what I said back then is still true today. You can see immediately a very different appearance. Despite having over 8,000 hours of playtime in GTA 5, I actually only have around 100 hours of playtime in GTA Online. It's probably around like 500 to 600 now. Some of you might question why that is, so this video is a compilation of a lot of the complaints I made about the game while I was attempting to complete the Doomsday heist. There is of course endless footage of me dealing with mod menus and DDoSes and stupid options that exist in the game that will not make it into this video. While I'm sure I bring it up later, Rockstar has improved their security somewhat. Like, there used to be a vulnerability that even if you were in invite-only sessions or friend sessions, people with mod menus could still get in long enough to crash your session, but they have patched that within the last 6 months or something. So hypothetically right now, without a VPN and without special protections like Guardian, you should be able to play in invite-only sessions, in solo sessions, and friend sessions without having any issues on PC. So this is definitely an improvement. As a public figure, I will still use a VPN and still use those protections. They always find new vulnerabilities, so it just seems prudent to still protect myself, even though Rockstar has actually obviously made attempts to improve things on that front. I hope you enjoy this video more than I enjoy GTA Online. Knock knock, who's this? D's. D's who? D's nuts. Lamau, got him. Truly a savage criticism of GTA Online. Why did I kick you from the crew? Because Rockstar Games doesn't believe people can need more than 1,000 slots in their crew. And therefore, whenever I want to add people to the crew, specific people, I have to kick a lot of people to make room. And you can't even kick people from in the game. You have to go to a separate website, and you can't kick more than 20 people at a time. No aspect of that has been improved. The crew system in GTA Online is still the worst thing I've ever seen in any game ever. The idea that it has existed as is for like 10 years is goddamn insane. There was a point where it was trivially easy for modders to get access to people's crews and completely destroy them, changing everything, potentially getting people banned or something. I don't think any of that was really improved. I do not use crews at all anymore. It is a complete waste of time. It is insane to this day that they believed an external system on a different website was a good mechanism for handling crews and stuff, but that they've never improved its security or its ease of use is nuts. I recognize that not everyone needs 1,000 people in their crew or what have you, but even just on a casual level, it is just extraordinarily tedious to use. There is no aspect of GTA Online that is not made intentionally as tedious as possible, especially for content creators. So it's not fair to say that every aspect of GTA Online is made to be as tedious as possible. Like, a lot of it is tedious unintentionally. This is my spamming face. There are definitely parts of it that are intentionally made to be tedious, but a lot of the tedium in the game is definitely unintentional. I'm sure there are devs who would like to go back and fix things, but you know, they've just got more important things to worry about. And it is certainly true that Rockstar has never given two shits for content creators.
Man, this shit is garbage. Fuck!
I don't think content creators owe anything to Rockstar. I don't think Rockstar owes anything to content creators. We have a mutually beneficial relationship where if it wasn't beneficial for both parties, then we would just stop playing GTA Online and Rockstar would just crush us with their boot, which they obviously could if they wanted to. I do think in the current climate of gaming, it does make sense for companies or whatever to be considerate of how content creators interface with their technology. They've made the Rockstar editor in GTA 5 to give people the ability to make small movies and to make content and stuff. It says in the TOS they want people to make this stuff, but like in Red Dead 2, they didn't have those tools available. They 95% made a Rockstar editor for Red Dead 2, and then it didn't ship with the game. People had to mod the game to put it into the actual release. Like, I don't know where Rockstar is gonna stand with content creators when it comes to GTA 6. For my benefit, I would hope, well, really everyone's benefit, I hope they, give us the tools necessary to make cool stuff. And from a financial standpoint, I hope they go down the route that a lot of companies do with creator codes and stuff. With Fortnite, creators have made tens of millions of dollars by being like, hey guys, you want to buy something from the shop? Use my code, I get a small cut of that. Like, I'm sure some of you guys sometimes buy shark cards and maybe would buy shark cards if you knew it would help us out. And like, if we had a code and we could get like 5% of what you spend on shark cards or something, that would have been a lot of money. I'm not exactly a money hungry guy, I don't care, but it would feel like something that would benefit all parties if a creator code existed in GTA 6. I'm a CEO, guys. Yeah. Woo. This elation is obviously sarcastic, as I had to make myself CEO about 24 times before I finally finished the Doomsday heist. That has not improved at all. I do think it is somewhat stupid that every single time you start a session or whatever, you have to make yourself a CEO again. A part of the reason I had to do it like 20 times is because the amount of times that DDoSers and modders kicked me out of the session. You don't have to do that nearly as much. But I do think it is a pretty poor way to handle starting of jobs and all that stuff. I just think it's kind of silly. And no, it hasn't been improved directly. Oh, and true, actually it was made a little bit worse in that there is now a cap on the amount of CEOs that can be in any lobby at any given time, where you have to keep changing to a new session until you find a place without 8 CEOs so you can make yourself a CEO. And given how much of the game you need to make yourself a CEO or a motorcycle club owner or whatever, it just locks everyone out of the session from doing stuff. I'm sure they put that in to stop people from exploiting the game in some way, but obviously that does hamper casual gameplay. So I would say that it actually has gotten worse. Once I've done all the heists, there's nothing else to do. I can't just do death matches as I want to because there's mod menus and DDoSes, man. While much of it is not shown here, I was kicked from the game by mod menus 12 times. Literally hundreds of people tried to join my lobbies with mod menus. I was DDoSed half a dozen times, and this was eventually solved by methods I can't go into. I can now play death matches and stuff. I use the friends list and whatnot. I still can't use the crew. It is still the case that mod menus abound, and it's always possible that I might personally invite someone who has a mod menu and they might fuck things up. But I don't think it's as bleak as I said there before, where after you complete the heist, there's nothing to do in GTA Online. There was clearly other stuff to do if you find that stuff entertaining. I did enjoy farming all the awards, for example. Is it fun? This is the most excruciating pain and suffering that I've ever experienced. But as a person who has no interest in, say, grinding additional money to buy additional cars or properties, the amount of content in GTA Online is fairly limited. GTA Online can appeal to different types of gamers for different reasons. And it's just the fact that a lot of the stuff that's in GTA Online that might take up other people's time is not interesting to me. I'm sure that's the case with everyone, right? After, what was it, 7-8 years, whatever, Rockstar finally realized that their systems were garbage. So they enabled the most recent heist to be done solo, but the previous ones, that is not the case. I do think it would make sense if Rockstar went back and made some of the older heists soloable. They've recognized that some people like to play the game solo. Even if you give them 1/10 the cut, they will still play it solo. And I like that the newer content they've released gives people that option, but incentivizes team play. It sucks that the casino heist especially, there is only one part of the entire heist where you need 2 people. And that's where you're putting the key cards in. There were rumors abound for a while that they were going to go back and fix that, but they just never did. Like, I understand maybe going back and like changing the entire heist of the original game, which normally require 4 people, that would be hard, but not the casino heist, right? So I know, I guess this has gotten better in a way. There is more soloable content. Most of the heists, the new ones, are still soloable, but they haven't really improved the older content. Mod menus don't affect consoles, but consoles suck. Consoles run at like a max of 22 FPS currently. And you have to use a controller. So obviously the release of the new consoles has made it so the FPS in the console version of the game is not complete dog shit. It was legitimately like 20 to 30 FPS on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One or whatever. With the newer consoles, it is better. It's still nowhere near as good as GTA Online on PC if you've got good hardware. But obviously there are still a lot of barriers to playing console for myself, where I don't like using controller for a lot of stuff and I don't have the option to use keyboard and mouse. Given that keyboard and mouse are better for shooting and stuff, so you have an advantage in various different modes. You understand why even if they wanted to go the effort, they might not ever support keyboard and mouse on consoles, even though that is the thing that you can do these days. There are third-party things that can give you access to keyboard and mouse on any game on console, but they're very finicky when they don't have first-party support. So it's pretty confirmed that GTA 6 is going to be out on just consoles before PC, and I don't think they're going to give me access to keyboard and mouse, so I'm going to be stuck playing with just controller on the console. And given that GTA 6 is going to have much higher graphics and all that jazz, I am worried that the next-gen consoles, as powerful as they are, they might not be able to bring out the best of the game. So I'm probably going to be stuck for a year, maybe longer, playing what I consider to be inferior interface devices and with lower graphics and lower FPS than I otherwise would on PC. Having now done this drive 86,000 times, might have done it a few too many times. There is no challenge in this drive. There is no reason for this drive to exist. So why does it? When you're designing stuff to be enjoyable, you look at the parts that aren't enjoyable and you say to yourself, does this need to exist? And the answer in this case is clearly no. No one is gonna be like, actually, I was really keen to just drive randomly into the middle of the city for the 900,000th time. Of course, you can say, oh, but it's intentional to inspire people to buy shortcuts. Yeah, but at the same time, it's still bad game design. So I don't think this has improved at all. The A to B to A nature of GTA Online, that's still the bread and butter of the game. I think one of the reasons why the next 500 hours that I played of GTA Online was a lot more tolerable is because I learned how to do job warping. Like if you only have to drive from B to A rather than A to B to A, it's a lot more tolerable. Where you're not driving twice in a long way, you're only doing it once. Of course, they have now nerfed things like job warping. It's a lot harder to do, it's slower. So this hasn't improved, and to what extent it did improve, Rockstar has taken away some of those tools to remove this tedium, and that sucks. It is certainly the case, as I'm saying there though, that when you have a game that is funded by microtransactions, you do need to make content with that in mind. Something that's just purely fun may not be a place you want to put your dev time because it's not going to generate the kind of revenue that, I know, making 57 more cars that cost $50 million will make you. Then again, like you can't just focus on content that will make you microtransactions. Like you have to have people enjoy the game and want to come back to it. This is just the microtransaction model. You have to be cognizant of what's actually going to drive microtransaction sales.
The IAA better pay us for this.
That is like the very end of that heist. But we were 2 feet away from the end. Yeah. Why not just let us finish the mission, Rockstar? We're 2 feet away. So I do think with the newer content, people can leave or quit or have internet connections and you don't get immediately kicked out. I definitely have had things like the Cape Rico heists and stuff where people have left and I've still been able to do stuff. And so I think it's something that moving forward, they have improved in this aspect, but they haven't fixed the older content. So the older content still has this flaw. So it is an improvement, but not a complete improvement. A hell lot of people play this game. I don't understand. It just shows how there must not be any suitable replacement for this game because it's just awful. Every single basic thing in GTA Online is programmed to be as bad as possible. Obviously, I'm being facetious, I'm exaggerating there. Everything isn't specifically programmed to be as bad as possible. There's just a lot of things that are tedious or badly planned out that may have been in part because Rockstar didn't expect GTA Online to be as successful as it was. They didn't expect it to stick around for 10 years, and so they continue to build upon very weak foundations. Things that they would have improved or changed had they known they'd be with the same game for 10 years. There was definitely a lot of stuff that they're probably looking back on and going, why did we do that? That was so goddamn dumb. I'm sure GTA 6 is going to be more set out with the expectation for that kind of longevity. And so a lot of the tedium, a lot of the weird menus and stuff will be downplayed. It is interesting though, in 10 years that GTA Online can still be as successful as it is. In that like no other company has managed to dethrone it. We go back to 2015 and the game has like 30,000 concurrent players. This is PC of course. And we go here now to today, it has 100,000. The game has done nothing but get more popular. It's seen other peaks in popularity, but it's maintained its relevance for the last 10 years. And this is just on PC. Most people play on console. This is insane to think about. No other game is like this. Certainly, it has benefited from more gamers just coming into existence, gaming becoming more popular and it growing with that, but it's still here. 10 years. A game that everyone who plays it complains about incessantly. A game that is fundamentally, amazingly flawed. But no other company has come out and gone, hey, here's the GTA killer. And that's just very surprising. All the things I want to do, all the mini games and death matches and races and shit, that stuff doesn't get as much support. I suppose at least the newest DLC apparently puts something with races, I suppose. They have been constantly adding new mini games and stuff, like the recent drifting car thing. It's just not particularly amazing content. But I would argue, having done the most recent heists and content and stuff, I think it is better than the older stuff. I do think the mission design has in general improved. It's not amazing, but some of the older content, the Doomsday heist especially, there's just so much garbage. There are so many setups that are just amazingly boring. I don't think there has been that level of tedium added to the game since then. I do think the mission design has improved. It boggles my mind that people respect Rockstar as a game company when they've produced something as bad as GTA Online. Like, I swear to you, indie companies for like 20 grand are making better games than GTA Online. What a fucking bitch. I can just imagine someone working at Rockstar being like, this man, he's dead. His family, dead. His pets, dead. His barber, dead. They're experiences that have been made by singular devs or small teams that have blown us all away, that have been amazing, that have had better online experiences, less broken online experiences than GTA Online. But in general, obviously GTA Online is still up there in terms of the experience. And certainly not for 20 grand are people producing better online experiences. It is a hard thing to do to make an online game and to have it be successful, especially in the long term. Rockstar is obviously deserving of respect for the game that they've made and how they've managed to maintain success all this time. If you want to demonstrate that having a lot of money doesn't mean that you can produce something good, Rockstar Games, in a nutshell. I mean, not speaking that of Rockstar Games, but that is true that there have been a lot of big budget games that have come out fairly recently that have demonstrated that just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean that your idea or your implementation of that idea is going to reach fruition and actually be good. I'm being overly critical of GTA Online here, I think. Unable to connect to session. The session may no longer exist. Joining a new GTA Online session. Well, why not just put me back into the session that I was in before? Why not detect if the other session exists before attempting to join it? Why do things this way? That doesn't make any sense. I do think the way that Rockstar handles sessions in GTA Online doesn't make a lot of sense. It provided many avenues for vulnerabilities for modders over the years to crash people's games. It doesn't make sense that if the session you're joining doesn't exist, that it doesn't detect that before trying to move you into that place. There was for a time where whenever you completed any heist or whatever, you'd be kicked into a public session. I don't think that's true anymore. I definitely feel like I'm kicked back to public sessions far less, but that still sometimes happen. So I think this has been improved a bit, but I think fundamentally the way that they handled this in general didn't make any sense. Why in this game do they bother not putting you in your main base and give you no way to teleport to the main base, whilst making it so that whenever you join a new session, you teleport to your main base? Meaning that joining a new session is in effect a teleport to your main base. This is just dumb. I've always found this to be dumb. If indeed you can set your spawn point to a particular spot and then change session and spawn there, obviously people are just going to use that to teleport around. I can't imagine that having people constantly changing session is a good thing for the infrastructure or the player experience in terms of the community, preventing people from being able to meet each other and stuff because they're constantly changing session or whatever. I just think it's dumb. If you were going to give people a mechanism that would enable them to teleport, just give them that mechanism directly rather than having to change session every time they wanted to move themselves. It's just silly. And so that has not been improved. Oh, wait a second. I didn't add Jepla to associates. In a regular game, I'd just be able to make him associate from this menu. You can invite from, oh, okay, well, then my bad. Wait, so then why do I make people associates then? Are you saying I've never needed to invite people as associates? Only for preps? Yeah. Even now, I don't fully understand what things you need to add people to associates to before you start versus things that you can just add people after the fact. I think it's things that have a menu like that you can just add people to, but everything else you need to make them associates. It is a little bit silly. It is not obvious how this is done, and it's different, as I say, depending upon the content that you want to do, and so that hasn't been improved, and it just seems bad. It was weird looking at people yesterday on Twitter saying that, oh, blaming the devs, man, it's not right. It's the people, it's the higher ups. Like, I don't think people really understand my complaints with GTA Online. So I'm going to say this right now. One of the most shameful things I ever did was get into a Twitter argument, which I'm referring to here, where I tweeted out, Rockstar devs should be ashamed of GTA Online. What I was implying is that I would be ashamed to have my name associated with something as glitchy, as bad, as vulnerable in terms of its security as GTA Online. But people took this to me saying that I'm blaming the devs specifically for all the bad things in GTA Online. When people pushed back at me, I kind of took that position defensively because I was just very pissed because I had been spending my entire day being DDoSed and kicked from the game. I was like, no, yeah, fuck the devs. It is their fault. Screw them. When in reality, that's not fair. I don't know about the hierarchical structure of Rockstar. I don't know to what degree the devs are to blame or to what degree they could go back and fix things, but they're not allowed to. Like it's very unlikely that a guy working a 9-to-5, sitting at a desk, is making the big decisions in regards to what should be focused on in regards to the game. They're just doing their jobs. It was unfair of me to put any sort of blame on the devs. And so I heard that some people who work there saw that and they were disappointed. And I feel very bad about it to this day. I did delete the tweet eventually, but I shouldn't have stubbornly tried to defend that whole thing. And so you're going to see me in this video putting a lot of shit on the devs. And I don't think that's fair. I'm not going to address it again. I will just address the complaints that I have. But I don't think assigning those complaints to the dev specifically is right. Like, no fucking higher up person was like, hey man, make it so the notifications is called hide notifications, enable, disable. It requires its own fucking thing and resets every single time you log in. No higher up was making that statement. This is, to date, still the dumbest thing that I've ever seen in any game ever. Normally you have a notifications option and you enable or disable them, but Rockstar has a hide notifications. So you have to disable the hiding of notifications or enable the hiding of notifications. So enable means disable and disable means enable. So dumb. And as I just said, still to this day, if you reset the game, you have to turn back on hiding notifications. The amount of footage that has been fucked because of this is insane. I try to have as few friends as possible in the game because I'm not always going to remember when I last reset the game to hide notifications again. It might be possible that the very last update fixed this. At least yesterday or the day before, I think at least once it actually remembered my hide notification thing. I'm saying that to cover my ass. I'm pretty sure they haven't fixed it, but this is one thing that they could probably fix in an afternoon that has never made any goddamn sense. In the game, they have exactly one setting. All other settings you have to go to another website to access. Buck wild insane. It's also funny that if you click network information, it directly shows your IP address. Most things will cover your IP address or any particular information just in case someone's like looking over your shoulder going, oh, look at that, or your content creator live streaming, but not Rockstar Games. To be fair, 2013, live streaming was far less of a thing, but security these days does not allow sensitive information to not have some sort of cover over it and you have to press specifically to reveal it, you know? No higher up was like, hey, you should make it so you need to put 20 inputs in to select armor. Imagine you were playing Diablo and to use a potion, it took 20 inputs. It wasn't some higher up that was like, you shouldn't get your armor back when you die. The game should get harder every time you die. So this is one of the things that they actually fixed. And I'll be honest with you, made GTA Online like 50% better. New people joining GTA Online these days won't understand how tedious it was. You would often be running and you'd be like panicking, like, oh my God, quickly, press my 17 buttons to bring out a snack and spam snacks before I die. And it was just infuriating that like half the times you died had nothing to do with anything other than your ability to very quickly put inputs to open a menu to use a snack or armor. Utterly insane. People in some spots, the strategy was to not engage with the game at all, but just keep your menu open so you could spam snacks. The disconnect in the game where everything was made slower and more tedious because you had to use that menu was goddamn nuts. I hope in GTA 6, the game isn't balanced around you having 57 million snacks. It was insane that it took them so long to fix it, but they have fixed it. You can now bind snacks and armor to hotkeys, and when you fail a mission or whatever, you do get the armor and snacks back. I don't know if it works for all content, but that is something that is now in the game to some degree. So huge W to Rockstar because it made the game actually playable. The Cayo Perico heist is the only heist I can remember doing that's actually good. Cayo Perico is so bad. There are a lot of things in it that are really bad. I think the Cayo Perico heist was a well done heist, in part because it was on a new island with a new area, and that was great. W for Rockstar, adding an actual new place in the game. Something they should have done a long time ago, but they don't allow us to go to it in free roam, to explore it, which is something that should be possible. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to like just fly over there and walk around. I wish they just changed some aspect of where it was meant to be located so that we could play it whenever we wanted to. But I do think the newer content in the game is better than the older content in the game, having now played the entire library of content.
We won't have to rob the Union Depository. They'll give us a key. Come into planning with your crew when you're ready, and let's get it done.
Wait, is that implying that they didn't rob the Union Depository? Is that implying that this is still before? But I thought the game had moved past single player. So still to this day, people don't really understand the timeline of GTA Online. The initial part of the game was set before single player. Then I think, as I'm saying here, the tipping point was Doomsday, maybe? Where after Doomsday, whenever the DLC released, that was the year in the game. It is the case that you can receive phone calls from 2013 and 2020 side by side. And I don't think that has been improved or changed. But I think that's just kind of how online games work. You play World of Warcraft, you can play content that is earlier in the timeline, in the story. It's not really a flaw with the game. It's just if you want to play earlier content, you can. There isn't a solution for that. Unless, of course, you just force people to complete that earlier content before being able to play the newer content. But that would be hugely annoying for the player base. And as for Cayo Perico not being that good, with the mechanics of GT Online, you can never have something that's actually good. But given what GT Online is, I think Cayo Perico is probably the best of what you can produce. You can never have a good game where you're running around doing this with snacks and armor. Like, the basic mechanics will never make it ever be good. At the end of the day, GT Online has very, very basic mechanics in regards to everything. There is very little actual mechanics that you're interfacing with. Like, you play more modern games where you're diving and like sliding to cover and stuff. Your guns feel like actual guns, like you can feel the recoil and stuff. There's bullet pathing, you like hold your gun to make it shoot in the exact right direction. At the end of the day, GT Online is very simple. And honestly, I don't hugely dislike that. I don't think games are necessarily made better when you have to like use a gear stick in a manual car to change the gears and stuff. Different mechanics, while adding complexity, don't necessarily make a game funner. But it is the case that so much of what GT Online is simple to the degree that they are limited in how amazing of an experience they can create, right? Especially after 10 years of experiencing these very basic mechanics. Everyone's gonna get kind of bored of it after that point, right? Like, there is stuff that they're releasing right now that people are like, I mean, this is kind of boring and lame, that if it was released in 2013, they'd be like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's just the same kind of gameplay after 10 years is always gonna get old. And like, there's a lot of stuff in Cayo Perico that you run into enemies and you bounce off them with your car. Like, how does that happen? It is certainly the case that there are still basic bugs in GT Online that you look at and go, how is this not picked up when they were testing it? And now that it has been picked up, why have they not fixed it? The only good thing in GT Online is the story and that's it. Is it though? There's not really much story, as far as I'm aware. Is there anyone who is blown away by the story of GTA Online? I've never seen GTA in general as being full of amazing stories. They are usually full of good stories, but amazing characters. Characters with vibrant personalities that you're just happy to see and engage with. And so it's cool seeing Franklin come back in GTA Online and stuff. It would be nice to see Trevor come back and whatnot. But the story, I mean, there's only so much story you can have when you have a purely silent protagonist. And yeah, a lot of the dialogue in GTA Online is obnoxious.
The diamond may look brand new and sparkling, but it's actually in trouble.
No. There is definitely some fun characters and some fun bits of story in GTA Online, but it doesn't even reach the same quality of GTA 5 story. It exists to facilitate gameplay, and generally speaking, that's what stories in MMOs or online games is meant to achieve. I don't think the story has improved since I made these criticisms. It's just as meh as it always has been. Of course, body armor isn't in my facility, so I have to go all the way to ammunition. Of course, I can, at any point in time, get ammo out of my ass for any weapon I desire. But armor, that's specialty stuff, dude. You can't get that out of your ass. It is still the case that you can't get armor at your facility, which doesn't make any fucking sense. You've got like satellites that can nuke people from orbit, but you don't have armor. This is technically something they've improved in small ways, in that with your agency, for example, you can get snacks and armor at your agency. I think it is the case with new stuff, new buildings that they've added, you can get both in the same building, which is a huge improvement, because prior to that point, you always had to go to ammunition specifically for armor. As there are now places in the game where you can get both, that is an improvement over the old system. Yes, facility is ready to fight the doomsday, the end of the world, but there's no armor. A higher up, 100% was like, this phone call should happen every single time you start the game. Why auto make it replay the same phone calls every time I start the game? They have improved this a little bit, I think. You can turn off phone calls easier than you could before. English Dave, like, you can hang up his phone call now, right? It's improved, but not perfect. And yeah, you can change what contacts you have in your phone. You can get text instead of calls. Now, yeah, I'm sure you still get bombarded with phone calls though, so it's not completely changed, but you can't expect them to completely revamp the game after 10 years. Hooray, more armor. Woo, yeah. You can... So you saw there how slow I was getting the armor. They have improved that too. You can now buy 10 armor at once. But it took like a solid 30 seconds to buy 10 armor, and that never made sense. But you can now buy all 10 at once. So, good call, Rockstar. Insta teleport anywhere, by the way, using jobs. But then why not just make a teleport button? If there's some convoluted, non-obvious way to teleport around the map that only experienced people can know, why not just make a teleport button? It's a glitch, but then why not just have a teleport button? One of the things that's bothered me most about playing GTA Online is when I start playing, nothing is obvious, and people in chat are like, look man, you gotta disconnect your network port, and you route out this thing here to give yourself this particular lobby, and then you can use these particular jobs to teleport yourself from this location. It's like, why leave these loopholes in? If anyone experienced will come to know them, why not just put the features in normally? I do think that GTA Online has always had a problem of newer players being somewhat confused and having a hard time actually getting into the game. If you don't have friends to help you, it's hard to get into any early missions and stuff and to know what you're meant to be buying and what you're meant to be doing. Rockstar has definitely revamped the earlier part of the game to give you more of a jump start so that you can play the game more effectively than you could in the past. Like, they have addressed this to some degree. Only in the expanded enhanced version? Actually, that's true. I remember now, I experienced the new version on the console, so it's not on PC. So they have addressed it only somewhat. And I still do think GTA Online is convoluted for newer players, but they have sought to address this and improve it in some way. It still isn't perfect because that would require them to revamp the game entirely, but they have at least accepted this criticism and tried to improve things somewhat. And as far as like job warping and stuff around the map, there are practical reasons to not enable people to instantly warp wherever they want to. But as we said before, I do think a lot of GTA Online is tedious, which is embolden people to find all these exploits to avoid that tedium. I hope GTA Online 2 is not as tedious. If death matches and races were like an easily accessible thing, like CSGO, Fortnite, Apex Legends, if GTA Online was in that kind of vein, where you can just hop in with a bunch of people and just shoot things to shit, fuck man, but I play online so much. My dream is to have the combination of Mario Party and GTA Online's minigames. Remove this open world bullshit that no one really enjoys and that people like actively work to mod the game to avoid. Just the raw fun deathmatch race minigame, even heist things, and just chosen from a menu. This entire online world here is complete bullshit. It makes the game entirely intolerable, makes the loading worse, the FPS works, makes everything about it worse. So what I'm describing there is Fortnite. Where there is no online large interconnected world, but there is various different modes and stuff that you can just jump into. I don't think that GTA Online has enough complexity in its gun mechanics and stuff to really be able to maintain like an online competitive mode like CSGO does.
Hack off! Hasing a hack off! I'm playing with a wheel!
It's not even like Fortnite where it has different aspects of building and, you know, they have sliding and climbing and jump pads and all this stuff. Like, they have a lot of tools available to them to the degree that they can maintain that kind of directory of all these different game modes and stuff and to have people be engaged with it. I don't think GTA Online would have been as successful as it was if it didn't have that online public interconnected map where people can fuck around with each other and actually meet each other in the world. I don't think the idea that they had was bad. I just think it didn't live up to what it could have been. And I hope GTA Online 2 fixes a lot of the mistakes that they made with the first game. I don't think they should take my advice here and not have an interconnected public world in GTA Online 2. I think they should do it better. Like, when you look at the map for GTA Online and you see like hundreds of blue dots and stuff to the degree that the map is just chock full of stuff where you can't see anything. And all these blue markers all around the map that no one bothers to go to because you can just do it in the menu and stuff. Like, the systems are just poorly implemented. The idea is good though. So I think I'm wrong here, but I do think I'm right in criticizing the implementation. And because you get kicked between so many different sessions, you can't even meet and get to know people. Yeah. Like, when you go somewhere and then leave again, you don't even go back to the same session with the same people. It gives you new people. There's no actual social element here. A lot of the problems that many MMOs have had is in trying to make a seamless playing experience for people, like making instance content and stuff, it makes it so people are less connected to a small group of people. Like World of Warcraft back in the day, when you were on a server, you were always all together in the same server, and so that you met people. But these days, all the servers are connected to some degree. There's instant content and stuff, and so there's less of a community feel. And I don't think GTA Online ever really succeeded in creating a true community feel because of how much people jump around different sessions and stuff. Surely there are communities of people. I just think that the implementation of the game currently hampered this development of actual bonds, of meeting strangers and actually playing with them long term. Very often, because if one person failed, you would all be kicked from the heist and stuff, or if one person had bad internet connection, you'd all be kicked from the heist. That as well created animosity with strangers that wouldn't have existed if the heists and stuff were implemented differently, where if you die, you could still be there and you could cheer on another person trying to succeed, which is more what happens now. So they've clearly learned from this to a degree. It's just, we're just gonna wait to see how good they're gonna do it in GTA Online 2. Like, MMOs have had like 100 people lobbies, 200, 300 people lobbies for, you know, decades. This game can accommodate like a dozen people in a world that is really, really fucking large. I do think there should be more people in the sessions, assuming they can solve the issues of people just mindlessly griefing each other. Many people bug the game so they can avoid people in their entirety because they just ruin the experience for other people. It's just too easy for people to ruin what other people are experiencing. And I just don't think that should be as much of a thing. Like, you should be happy to see other people. There should be more of a reason to help others. There should be more of a cost to just mindlessly fucking with people because you happen to have a lot of money. And we'll see how they do that in GTA Online 2. All the loading issues, all the session issues, all the FPS issues, all the glitches, all that to have an open world shitty deathmatch occasionally in a world far too big for the amount of people that are put in each session. And as far as loading is concerned, loading has improved because of that dude who found a particular thing that was causing the loading in GTA Online to be like 70% longer. They did implement it when they were told of it, so good on them. They could have just ignored it and been like, screw that guy for making us look bad. But they were like, oh, this will improve people's experience. Fine, we'll implement it. And so good on them for doing that. There are still parts of GTA Online that has ridiculously long loading, but in general, because of that guy's development and people's hardware being better, loading it has gotten down, which is, you know, good. No one in 2013 was looking at this, yeah, this is gonna work out with no fucking servers. It does appear as though GTA Online 2 is also gonna have peer-to-peer servers. They're not gonna have dedicated servers, and that potentially is going to lead us to have many of the same problems we have with GTA Online 1. I really hope that the leaks suggesting that were wrong, that people are misinterpreting something, or Rockstar was just testing something. A game like this, you know, you want it to have dedicated servers. I guess we'll see what happens, but, you know, I'm not hopeful. GTA Online's success is not a testament to how good GTA Online is. It's how little competition there is in this space and how amazing GTA 5 was. I would argue still is. I do think that GTA 5 being as good of a game as it was enabled GTA Online to be successful. If GTA 5 had bombs, had been a bad game, GTA Online wouldn't have been successful, I don't think. If GTA Online had competition, we'd already have GTA 6, definitely, 100%. I mean, that could be true. You would imagine if GTA Online was bombing and wasn't making any money, there would be more of an incentive to speed along GTA 6. And it's possible that any resources put into GTA Online, say over the last 5 years, if GTA Online had failed, they would have just put that into GTA 6. And maybe, yeah, we would have had GTA 6 earlier. But I doubt we would have had it that much earlier, right? They're clearly taking the time with GTA 6 because they want to make something revolutionary that is going to be played for like the next 20 years or some shit. And that takes time, regardless of GTA Online's success or failure. Who's going to beat them? No, who's going to want to take them on? Who is going to invest hundreds of millions of dollars to compete with GTA Online? The monolith that it already is. Like, you don't need to make yourself a game exactly like GTA Online to compete with it. Everything that requires attention is competing with everything else that requires attention. There are people right now who are playing Fortnite that if Fortnite didn't exist, would be now playing GTA Online. But it is true that there isn't really comparable experience to GTA Online that exists right now. It's other games that have gotten popular. They can take some of the player base away from GTA Online, but there is no successful GTA killer that has come out and maintained steam. All the comparable games, even like Saints Row, in just the single player space, they have failed to maintain longevity. And even in some cases, the devs that have made these games have gone out of business. In light of all that, it's pretty miraculous what Rockstar have achieved with GTA and what they've managed to maintain. Like, 5M isn't a true alternative, because if it ever got to the point where it was so successful to compete with GTA Online, then Take-Two would just be like, litigation. I'm gonna sue you. Fuck off. Every time any well, I mean, they did something similar. They had that option, but they were like, wait a second, that's really successful. We want to be in a partnership with you. They bought it, basically, right? Take-Two Rockstar. It's like, yeah, you can do it. You can do whatever you want with this thing. Like, they'll immediately turn around at the drop of a hat and say, nah, fuck off, the second it's in their interest to do so. Have they improved in this respect? I still think they do take down stuff that threatens something that they're working on. For example, the third-party VR version of GTA 5, they sent a cease and desist to that. Putting Los Santos in GTA 4, they did a cease and desist to that. Clearly, with the buying of 5M, they are not directly hostile to people developing things and then integrating them into the fold, but they don't do that with everything that people develop. Small improvements, I suppose. You can't trust them. In the same way they've taken down all the fan remasters of the earlier games. Was it known at this point that they were making the definitive edition? Because that explains why they took down that stuff. But then, of course, they released the definitive edition and it was complete trash. So, sure, they've been an integral part of Take-Two for over 20 years, but Rockstar is still just like the darling of the gaming community. It's all mean, evil Take-Two, as if Rockstar, a company, wouldn't act equally as scummy. To this day, I'm not sure to what degree you can differentiate the actions of Take-Two on behalf of Rockstar versus the actions of Rockstar by themselves. I think Rockstar has existed for longer as a part of Take-Two than they have as like a solo developer or solo publisher or whatever you want to call them. Like, it's hard to imagine that Take-Two is just constantly doing things that Rockstar doesn't approve of. But as I say, I don't know the exact structure with the companies. It is entirely possible that Rockstar constantly feels oppressed by decisions that people make at Take-Two. I have no idea. So I shouldn't really speak on such things. All this for $1 million. This took 12 hours. What is a shark card worth, chat? 8 million is $100. So basically I spent 12 hours here and I'm getting paid $12. Like, people joke that the fastest way to grind in these online games is to not play the game and just get a job. I mean, that is still true, and that's just a fundamental aspect of how these microtransaction games work. I mean, if it was equally as effective grinding the game as it was to buy microtransactions, no one would buy the microtransactions. The point is to get you the same stuff or comparable stuff faster than if you were just gonna play the game. You're just frustrated, like, I just want this thing now, screw it. It's only gonna cost me $5, and that's what people are paying for. How is it so easy to DDoS from GTA Online? So GTA Online has literally no security. So whenever you join a lobby and a person has a mod menu, your IP address, as well as your general location in the world, is immediately fed to that mod menu. It's possible then for that person to track you and keep a little profile of you and your IP address to know exactly the nanosecond that you log on. So they have implemented some forms of IP shielding apparently, but it's not perfect. If you are in a lobby with a person, I'm pretty sure mod menus will still get your IP address. But as people can't force their way into your lobby as readily as they could in the past, I think it's less likely that you will leak your IP address as long as you aren't joining public sessions. And generally speaking, the average person isn't really at risk of DDoSing. It's mainly public figures like me where they can DDoS me and they can see my stream go down and stuff, so they can immediately see the reaction, the effect of what they're doing. We're the ones at risk, basically. How do even larger streamers with more people after them deal with this? No one plays GTA Online. Have you never wondered why, like, GTA Online is dead on Twitch, but roleplay is so strong? The roleplay servers have more security than the Rockstar servers. That's true, 5M was much more secure than GTA Online, which enabled role players to dominate Twitch. Even if Rockstar had better security, I'm not sure that GTA 5, GTA Online would have dominated Twitch as much as it has without RP. The reason I say this is because people could still make content in GTA Online using the console version, right? But they didn't seem to develop. And that may just be because of how outdated the design of the content in GTA Online is. No pixel, no pixel. RP, no pixel, no pixel, RP, 5M, 5M, 5M. Yeah, so even now, I can't find anyone playing GTA Online. So it doesn't matter what improvements Rockstar has made to the game, people are just less interested in playing GTA Online for content or whatever on Twitch. What I'm saying is, I don't think it was Rockstar's lack of security that necessarily killed GTA Online on Twitch, but it was probably a contributing factor. All the advertisement that they would have gotten over the years, they just did not give two shits about. It's all done through 5M. It is undeniable that a big reason why 5M took off, role-playing took off, is because of live streamers. Of all the types of content that benefits the most from live streaming and YouTube content, online games or social games benefit by far the most. Because it's not just a single package experience that starts and ends, it is just an ever-growing amount of content that you can continuously do forever, and that people need to be made aware of so they can jump in and continue to play it as well. RP has definitely dominated, and 5M as well, but in large part because of live streamers. Matter of being a good boy to get GTA 6 early access, I do not think in a million years that anything I say at this point, or even that I said in the past really, would ever impact Rockstar giving me early access to anything. I am not a clean brand. You disingenuous, dense motherfucker. I am not a wholesome online creator. I have a lot of baggage. I've said a lot of things. 14 pages! What I do in games is potentially not what Rockstar wants at the forefront of generating the publicity and stuff. Of all the thousands of people who play GTA games, there's no way that they would pick me. Like, I could, for the rest of my life, basically suck Rockstar's dick. They will not give me shit. and I'm not trying to receive anything from them either. The reason why I took back my statements in regards to the devs being to blame isn't because I think the people that I may have pissed off will ever hear that. I don't think anyone's ever going to care. I'm saying these things because I legitimately think I was wrong, and I want to communicate that to at least you guys. If any of you took on those opinions yourself because of my influence, I do not like to spread misinformation or to put blame on people that they do not deserve. I like to communicate my feelings as openly, as honestly as I can. I'm not a person who talks shit or lies or misrepresents my feelings in order to receive some benefit. I am not that way. If I say something, I believe it. And I did believe these things, and I did feel these things at the time. I was just very, very salty because of how much I'd been DDoSed and kicked out of my game that day. It was a lot. It was literally hours of loading screens. The amount of difficulty I had just going through one heist was absolutely insane. I don't hate Rockstar. Any company you're going to have some negative feelings towards. It is a company after all. They're going to do things that I personally don't agree with. But on the whole, I'm very hopeful for GTA Online 2. I'm not as doom and gloom as a lot of people are about such things. I do think Rockstar can still make good stuff. Ultimately, I'm just hoping they make something good. I was saying that's very different from saying I hate everyone who works at Rockstar or something, but the company as a whole is fucking scum. I'm sure people at Rockstar occasionally think, man, this company does some shitty things, or does things I disagree with, or I wish they were doing something different. I just think I should always keep my criticism to the company as a whole, as opposed to particular individuals or particular aspects of the company. It's just, for me at least, Rockstar hasn't made anything good since 2013, and so it's very hard to have a high opinion of them. Even then that was wrong, because moments ago I was saying that I thought Cape Rico was pretty good, but I've played Red Dead 2 again since then, and I am enjoying my playthrough this time round. I'm accepting the game as it is, a game that wasn't really made for my taste, but obviously Red Dead 2 is still a very good game. I understand GTA Online having issues. It would be totally understandable if it was run by like 4 guys in a basement, right? When it has like all the money in existence behind it and limitless talents if they wanted it behind it. For it to have any issues at all, let alone issues for 8 fucking years, is shameful. As I say, it is strange, and people have wondered why they've started doing it, that Rockstar has fixed some fundamental issues with the game, like with snacks and stuff, that have existed in the game for, you know, almost 10 years. These are things they could have fixed so long ago, but just didn't. It's suggestive that there was potentially some shift in thinking in the company. Someone finally convinced some higher up to let them actually fix core aspects of the game. As much as I give Rockstar credit for fixing these things now, it is weird how long many issues sat in the game that could have been fixed with equal ease, you know, 5 years ago. You've been signed out of Rockstar Games? Oh no. But how do I sign in? Why is there only a button to quit the game? I can't press the sign in button. You must be signed into a social club to play Grand Theft Auto 5, but I want to sign in. I did press home. This is the home button. Who made this game? Social club is still fucking awful, and its inclusion in the game has been nothing but detrimental. Over the years, the amount of times where I was not able to play GTA 5, just a simple base game, and speedrun it because it was connected to Social Club and the game required me to always be online is just insane. The amount of times where Social Club has gone down and you're not able to connect and stuff is insane.
Y'all motherfucking server is down. Get that shit back up. We trying to play.
The whole website for Social Club is just tedious and annoying, and a lot of that stuff should just be in the game. That they then added on top of that the Rockstar launcher and then did nothing with the Rockstar launcher is insane. I understand the Rockstar launcher only exists for the purposes of selling games so they can bypass Steam's 30%, but they could hire like one dude to put news on it or to make it look good or make it run good or something. But having 2 separate systems of Social Club and the Rockstar launcher is fucking insane. Just combine them both. Games for Windows Live that they put into GTA 4 was also awful and far more awful than this, but it's still very bad.
Fix this shit, Bill Gates.
I'm not knowledgeable enough in how to fix this thing, but this has not been fixed in all this time. It is still terrible, and I hope whatever they put in GTA 6, it is not this convoluted and terrible. So we'll try the Rockstar game launcher. I'm aware it's already running. I want you to open it. It's loading. It's loading. Still loading. Still loading. This is in the process of loading currently. I have a funny feeling, chat, that it's not going to load. A game is currently running, but it's not Rockstar. There has been a variety of bugs over the years where you'll close out of the game, but it will still think the game is running, and you have to like Control-Alt-Delete and close the game. And even recently that's been happening. Please solve this puzzle so we know you are a real person. There is no way a computer would be able to figure out how to log into this fucking awful game. Pick the dice pair adding up to 5. No, I don't know, man. It's some hard shit, dude. Gonna go with this one. Just gonna completely guess this more. I'm no longer in school, Rockstar. Oh my god. Why is it doing this? This has never happened before. Wow. Oh god, why? I really, if it makes me do that again. I want to cry. This company can't be this garbage. It can't. Who do you think is hacking into my social club account? You think I'm paying my bills with my fucking online fucking money or some shit? What the fuck? If I have two-factor authentication, why make me go through the puzzle? Why make me go through the puzzle? Be right back, guys. Gotta get my phone. This has more security than my bank. Walk up to the teller at my bank and they're like, look, here's some dice. Fucking pick which ones add up to 5. Okay, we're in. Can we now play the game? That you have to go through the launcher to Steam is just nuts. But that whole rant there, that was originally at the beginning of the video when it was being released. But I was like, I feel like I'm being overly critical here or something, or it might make me seem like I'm a fucking insane weirdo or something. I'm gonna put it at the end. But the amount of people who commented, who actually made it to the end of the video, like, that was fucking hilarious, man. I'm like, I should have put it at the beginning. People would have loved it. It was insane for them to both require the picking of multiple pairs of dice, as well as the verification. Given that I can't recall having any issues recently in the last couple of years, maybe they improve things. Do any of you have this dice picking minigame sometimes when logging in still? Yes? No? Not yes? Maybe it's improved, maybe it hasn't. All in all, I do think Rockstar has improved GTA Online to the degree that some of my criticisms of the past no longer are applicable. I do think in some cases my criticisms were not valid. I do think I was harsh in some places. I exaggerated some things, largely, as I say, because of how frustrating experience I had on that particular day. Is GTA Online a perfect game at this point? No. Does it still have flaws? Yes. Are many of those flaws fundamental to the game because to fix them would require just radically changing the game? Yes. Do I hope, as I say, that in GTA 6 or GTA Online 2 that these things can be improved? Yes. Do I think Rockstar can improve them? Yes. Will they? I don't know. I do think looking through this video was interesting. I may go back and remove some of the more harsher criticisms specifically against the devs. I didn't realize I went that hard sometimes. Regardless, I think it was worth watching this video again, and I hope I never have to make another video like that again. I hope GTA Online 2 is just a perfect game. It won't be, but we'll see. Thank you for watching. I wish you all the best. Bye-bye. Boop.